All right, everyone. Welcome back to Bleav in Mizzou. This is going to be episode number 9. I have Mr. Marcus Lucas with me. Coming off of a victory to the Vanderbilt Commodores. Maybe not overly impressive, but a W is a W. Certainly a game I know that you were present for and able to witness. What takeaways, if any, do you have that kind of really jump off the page from you in this most recent Mizzou game?
Crowd participation. that was great.
Yeah.
We had one of our top selling games in a while since homecoming a few years ago. So that was great to see. There was a lot of Tigers that came home for homecoming this past weekend. So that was great. I got to bring my son back, and I was there with my mom. And so we got to do all the little festivities, got to join the parade and all that good stuff. So that was a good takeaway from the weekend for me. Just being able to have that experience, come home as an alumni, as a ex-football player, that kind of thing. Just always good to be around Mizzou on homecoming weekend. So I'll start with that. As far as the game, like you said, we got to win. We got back into the W column, and that was the number one goal for the week, and we executed that. It wasn't the best game that we anticipated having, especially facing this struggling Vanderbilt team in conference play, especially. But we did what we needed to do to get it done. The defense, they played lights out. They played a game that you would expect them to play. They made some pressure on the quarterback. They, got down and dirty in the run game. They were, covering well, all that good stuff. So kudos to the defense and the offense. We started the game off hot. That was something that we've struggled with. It was just starting fast. We got to start fast this game, but then it kind of dissipated after that. So we can get into that a little bit later, but those are my key takeaways kind of from the game.
Yeah, and obviously I wasn't present, but I can feel that just from you. I can feel the energy, through the TV. You could tell there were a lot of people there. They're ready for homecoming. The crowd was hype. Certainly people love when players like yourself and alumni like yourself come home. That win, I think, I won't call it challenging, but to get a win period against another SEC team when you have 3 fumbles and an interception, I think there's something to take away from it. Yeah. And we can get a little more detailed on defense as we get a little deeper in the show. But, when it all came down, when it came down to it, they stopped them and turned them over on downs at the end of the game. And this defense has been making a statement all season long. So now after the week, they're 23rd ranked in the nation. Yeah. And that is incredible. And it is necessary, honestly, because I think there's still some questions around, what that doesn't mean Drink's do anything wrong, but there's some questions around play calling and then who's going to be under center. There's still some instability there. And I think that's a concern moving into the rest of the schedule. So before we get into kind of previewing South Carolina, some other notes from the game I thought were really important. You talked about starting fast. The phenom out of high school, Luther, Dominic Lovett, wide receiver 1, has actually been carrying a lot of the receiver squad. But Burden got a touchdown early, and he showed you that athleticism and that speed, catching a very basic screen pass and taking that to the house in a matter of seconds, and then also rushed for a TD. That, to me, those weapons should only help open up the running game, which I think is something that's currently underutilized. We did watch, and right in front of our eyes, we watched Brady Cook have a pretty tough pass there. That was, obviously I've never played the quarterback position. I'm sure it's one of the more difficult positions on the field. However, you have to see that at this level, for sure. You have to see that at this level. It was a horrible pass. With that said, it seems like if you separate the very few mistakes he makes, I know we talked about it in a much older episode, it is kind of like a Sam Bradford, a very safe, like Joe Flacco kind of, Carson Wentz, dink and dunk 7 to 8 yards at a time. He's had a couple deep balls, but he still may be the safest player at that position now. And more importantly, tell me if I'm wrong on this, and better than anyone, having to study and learn and memorize a playbook. How unfair would it be to shift gears more than halfway through the season and potentially adjust the entire or a lot of the playbook and the offensive scheme with a new QB? Don't you think that might be an issue for the rest of the squad?
I definitely do. At this point in the season, we're still fighting for bowl eligibility. We still want to put games together. We still want to win games. We still want to put ourselves in the best position. I think that if we roll with Cook, it just shows that we're sticking to what we our guns, sticking to our guns, sticking to what is safe and what is familiar for this team right now. I think that he is, like you kind of alluded to, he's a game manager. He's not going to, put up a whole bunch of game breaking plays. He's not but he's also not gonna to make too many mistakes. I think he had an interception this game, but in that instance you're referring to, but he did what he needed to do to win the game. He put us in a good field position at the end of the second quarter when we came down and got some points before half. Ultimately led to that. That's what won the game for us. Outside of the second half, just I think we got away from what was working in the first half. I think that we started to press the ball downfield a little bit more than we could have or should have. But at the end of the day, the defense it's a team sport, right? And the defense helped us out. They carried us that game. The offense owes someone. I'll say that. I'll leave it that way. And that's just how it works in the locker room. There's been games where I've been a part of where the offense just doesn't seem to get it going.
Sure.
And the defense has to step up, and it's just like, I think at the end of the game, it's like, thank your brother. Thank you for carrying us today, because this game, it goes to y'all. Positives, I think we did a little bit better on third down this week. I think that kind of extended drives and that helped us in that regard. I think we were about 50% on third down conversion. So that really helped. But the turnovers almost were detrimental to us. Luckily, our defense made stands to where they didn't turn into points for Vanderbilt. So all that to say is, we know our pain points, and we know where we can learn and where we can get better. We just have to it all starts in the film room. I think I sound like a broken record saying it. It starts in the film room. It starts early in the week to get those mental errors out of there. We played pretty much penalty free this game, which was good. So that just lets me know that we weren't executing at a high level.
Yep.
And that's what's going to be the difference to carry us through the rest of the season, because our schedule is no slouch for the rest of the year. Everybody that we play the rest of the season is playing good football.
Yep.
And we're going to have to play better. And that's what it's all going to come down to.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, ultimately, this is one of those, D, thanks for carrying us. I think what's going to happen, though, is the offense has to find a way to be more efficient, because these guys, 33 minutes on the field, I think it was, to 27 for Vanderbilt. You had a lot of that last week and the week before and the week before that. And even though we won the time of possession against Georgia, we need both of them to click, which is the offense taking up more time on the field, letting the defense rest, and converting on third down with minimized penalties. They got 2 of them this week. They did great on the penalties. We did better on third down. But those turnovers had the defense on the field more than they needed to be, and they were gassed. You could see it late. Yeah. They made the play and stopped them, but, they were just on the field so much. So my greatest, I won't call it concern, but one thing I think is if we can really, moving forward, make the run game a priority, because one thing I have noticed a lot of is you get a 3 and out, and then maybe another 3 and out. And then it seems like they completely abandoned that run game. We saw that at the end of the Georgia game. It's like you just need to hold serve. You don't have to get 50 yards. You don't have to get these big chunk plays. You just need to move the sticks and take up some time. And then I'm not one to knock play calling because obviously Drink knows a lot more about it than me. He was asked recently and he said, I'll revisit it at the end of the year. And to the point we just made about relearning a playbook and changing scheme, I don't think that's fair to any of the players. So I agree with that. He should take it to the end of the year. And if he continues to do it, so be it. But it definitely shouldn't adjust midstream. But you do often see a lot of, and, you saw that with Pinkel too, 3rd and short and we're in the shotgun or, draws. When you've got Schrader, who is low to the ground, big boy, and can push a pile, as can Nathaniel Pete, I do think we're a little bit gun shy on being confident that we can pick up short yardage. And then you in turn put a lot of pressure on a still very inexperienced Brady Cook. So moving into the next week, moving until Saturday, it would be nice to them make a concerted effort to try to be a little bit more lopsided on run as opposed to pass.
Yeah,
so
I think our offensive line has to take that personally.
Yeah.
I think that's where the accountability is going to be kind of resting. I think that the offensive line needs to come together as a collective unit and I don't want to say demand to the coach, but because we can't really make demands, but
sure,
let's put it on our shoulders. Take some ownership when it's 3rd and short, when we're in our short yardage situations. Put it on our shoulders. Let's get behind us. Let's run. Let's go get this first down. Let's keep the chains moving. Let's stay on the field. Let's keep our defense off the field. Let's go put a drive together. I think that's what the whole kind of the whole thing is kind of behind that is having faith in our offensive line to make the blocks, to go do it. We've seen it throughout the year with our stable of running backs, of them making big plays and getting those, short yardage plays, getting those extra yards, things like that. We know that we have the talent and the ability to do it. It's, let's have the trust. Do we have the trust to go get it and go get it done? So I think that's going to be the big challenge of the week is for the O-line to kind of step into their identity. They've been growing and been tested all year. But standing in that identity of we're going to get that inch, we're going to get that yard, we're going to get that 2 yards, and let's go. We need to, I'm not sure where we're at now. Earlier in the year, we were over 4 yards a pop, almost 5 yards a pop.
Still about there. Yeah.
So let's run the ball. Let's get it. Let's go get that. And then we can take chances whenever it's, whenever it brings merit, because we do have big play receivers as well.
We do.
So one thing that we used to do to kind of extend the running game, we did a lot of bubble screens, bubble passes and screens. That kind of is an extension of our run game. It opens things up. It gets players the ball in space. I think that's something that we could get back to a little bit, just to get creative of, getting our playmakers the ball early and quick and letting them make those plays on the outside. We got good downfield blocking. I've seen it with our receiving crew. I think that we can make some noise and some splashes, some big plays, if we can get the ball into our playmakers' hands quick and letting them do what they do.
And also, I mean, unless they implement the running game and do it on a regular basis, play action doesn't carry the same oomph. It doesn't mean as much. It is not a worthwhile endeavor to back yourself up and add an additional layer of protection, which means one less man open, because he's back protecting the QB. If the QB is not experienced, and if you don't have the time, and if they don't think you're going to actually run the ball, because you don't run it. So they need to get more attempts, seeing, halves where Schrader and Pete combine for 8 carries. And then when they do carry, they get chunk yard. I just don't understand it. So I won't call the play calling erratic, but I think it's reactive. We have a rough drive and then suddenly we start making changes as opposed to what works, which is when we run the football, we should, in theory, over 3 downs, generally get a first down. And when we, like you said, when we have to pass that ball, we pass it. And when you have weapons like Dominic Lovett, Luther Burden, and Bannister came back, who's their third receiver. Mookie Cooper had a decent game. He had a 40-something yards and a couple catches. Those guys only get more open because of the way you run that football.
Right.
And like you said, a direct challenge to the offensive line is going to give Cook more time as well. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It is. No, what I was saying, I just looked it up. So this past week, we had 40 attempts for 97 yards. That's 2.4 yards an attempt.
Yeah.
So per rush, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that is probably why Coach Drink abandoned the run game.
Yeah.
If we're only getting 2 yards a chunk and we got, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, he
doesn't think you're going to convert. Yep.
He doesn't think we're going to convert, while we were getting 8.4 yards a pass. So I think that kind of goes along with it. If you look at the analytics, I know the coaches do, the players don't necessarily, but the coaches, they look at the analytics, throughout the whole game.
Yep.
And that is something, just from an inside scoop of like, this is what's working for us and this is what's not. The run game wasn't working for us on Saturday. And so that might be why Drink abandoned the run game.
Certainly.
But at the same time, we have to continue to beat it down and beat it down and beat it down if that's our identity. If that's what's worked for us in the past, it's like, okay, if we're only getting 2.4 yards, I mean, it was 40 attempts though. I mean,
yeah.
He tried. I mean, let's leave it there. I mean, he ran the ball. We just weren't getting the holes that we normally get. We weren't getting. We had some tough calls, against us, and just things weren't going our way, just in a weird way, especially in that second half.
Certainly.
So, I mean, I think all that kind of goes into the play calling and the decision making and things like that, because you have to listen to the numbers to some degree. But we still, like you said, if we have to establish that run game early, try to get chunk plays. If we can get 10 yards in a run play, on a run play, that's great. If we can get 15 on a pass play, that's great. These are big plays.
100%.
That's what's going to be the key to this next game is how many, if we can get 10 plus big plays in the game, we should be all right.
I agree. And I agree with you. I mean, obviously it wasn't working. I would like to see him recommit and at least give it that effort to hopefully loosen it up, because I am very convinced that Brady Cook is capable, as you said, as a game manager. But until you feel the season is lost, you shouldn't make the change. So if we lose this game, we are now 1-4 in the SEC. And then now it gets pretty close to being a lost season. Looking at Tennessee undefeated, looking at Kentucky on the 5th ranked, looking at a rivalry game against Arkansas to end the year. I think we have New Mexico State between those, but I'm not going to pin Tennessee as an L. Anything could happen. Almost beat Georgia. However, that's a very difficult game. The Kentucky game is a difficult game. This South Carolina, I won't call it must win, but for the sake of this season, it's getting pretty close. So, I don't know exactly what those pieces are that would spell victory, but I do think they're doing a lot of those things right, which is being disciplined, not making a lot of penalties bodes well. They also got healthy off that bye week.
Right.
They needed that. I mean, they had a couple defensive guys that were out. Burden, Lovett, Bannister. I mean, your top 3 receivers all had lower body issues. Elijah Young, our 3rd string running back, who started the year as our 1st string and might be just as talented as Schrader and Pete. He just doesn't get as many touches. He was able to get some health back. So I do think this is the best they could possibly be in terms of health entering this game. Nobody left last game too banged up. And I think Brady's going to get another opportunity to be the guy. Yep. But if this game is lost, I wouldn't be shocked if Sam Horn or Tyler Macon get some clock, because at that point, you're fighting for a lesser than bowl game, which lesser than their standards of Mizzou standards, and might not even be fighting for a bowl game at all, given what's next on the schedule. So this game is about as close to a must win at this stage of the season as we've had in a long time. Is there anything specific you think they need to really point to? Obviously, I agree with you on everything you said. Anything else that needs to happen, you think, to get a W out of this?
It's just everything we talked about, man. Just that ownership from the offensive line, making the quarterback right from the skill position, from receivers, running backs, tight ends, making the quarterback right. Go make plays for him. I think that's something that we have to continue to do, to build confidence in the play caller and the quarterback himself, the team, the defense, the morale of the team. On the defensive side of the ball, just keep putting pressure on the quarterback. We got to get to the quarterback, keep being great in the run game, and continue to improve in the passing game. I think that we're gonna need to take the ball away a little bit more, because we can't play with these turnovers. I mean, turnovers it didn't kill us this game, but it should have. Luckily, our defense have stepped up and made some stops when we needed to. But we have to control the turnover margin. I think I talk about that every week as well.
Oh yeah.
And then continue to play well on special teams. Continue to make our field goals. Continue to get, maybe we get a return this week again. Maybe we can get a block on punt. These kind of things are these, and then winning the 50-50s. I think that if we can win the 50-50s this week, everything, it's always a game of inches. It's always one call this way or that way. If we can get those on our side, South Carolina is going to be pumped up after the big win that they had last week.
Oh yeah.
So they're amped up. They're feeling good about themselves. So we have to come in and not, we got to win, but we have to come in there controlled. Columbia, South Carolina is not an easy place to play. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. And we have to come in there poised, prepared, and ready to execute.
Makes sense. And I'm not a blame game guy. I never have been. But I do think accountability is important. As you pointed out, the run game wasn't great last week, but has been most of the year. The special teams, after a couple rocky, couple things here and there, has been very good. They've been mostly disciplined on from the penalty side for the most part, and have one of the better defenses in the nation, which is why I think you have a lot of media, critics, even alumni, current student body trying to find what it is. And they always wind up in one of two places. It's the quarterback or it's Drink. Do you think Drink's on the hot seat? And I know we've talked about this before. I don't know if he's on it, but I don't know if it's warranted. This closing games, I think, is what has people, you so close 3 weeks in a row, you lose. And then last week almost gave it away. Do you think he's on the hot seat? And if he is, does he deserve that?
I think I told you a couple weeks ago, we got to finish.
Yeah.
just
you're
finish.
Right. Yep.
And it doesn't always come down to the coach. I mean, it comes down to the players. I mean, there's only so much the coach can do. We have to, he can call the players. We got to execute the plays. We got to finish the game out. We can't get up, 17 in the first half and, come out of the locker room lackadaisical, thinking that, we're 14-point overdogs or whatever. And we're going to just, go over this team. They haven't won SEC game in however many years against us, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, let's go. Like, these kind of games are where you can get boost some confidence and things like that. And we didn't take advantage of that moment. So I can't put it all on Drink. I think that, what he's doing from a recruiting standpoint is great. We see and I think that's what makes Mizzou fans, alumni, whoever that's following this team so frustrated, is because they see the potential of the team. Yeah, they see how great the defense is playing, how our skill players, how great they look at times. They see the potential of this team and they're just like, why isn't it there? And they want somebody to take the fall. And it's a team thing. It's from the coaching staff all the way to the equipment staff. It's got to be, everybody has to have that full buy-in to this program and to where they want to be. And I think the sky is the limit for this team, in future years. I think that Drink is going to continue to recruit well, like he's been doing.
Sure.
And I think that, over the next year or so, I think this year was kind of a year where we've, battled injuries. We've battled, chemistry, and having a big time recruit come in and shake things up at the wide receiver position, having a defense that is bringing some starters back, some new guys, some transfers all over the place. So I think that we kind of got to take this season to, I don't want to talk it as a rebuilding year, but it almost is to a certain extent of getting familiar with each other, getting used to being out there together, and then building in the future with when we have a couple of quarterbacks that we've seen play at a high level in the high school, realm. They come in, and maybe that's that extra that we need to kind of put this team together. I don't see them coming in these next couple weeks, but maybe that if I hate to say it, but if we don't see things going in the right direction going into that New Mexico game, I think that's whenever we might see another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you completely. It's you've got the group of individual people, or the talent is as good as most teams in the country. It's just like you said, finishing. They can't close games, and unfortunately, they do usually look at the QB or the quarterback, or the play call in, and they're looking for something.
Backup quarterback is the best position on any football team.
I imagine so, because you're just chilling, waiting. You're not getting hit, and even if you come in and don't perform, they didn't expect you to. You weren't supposed to.
You're the backup.
You're the backup. You didn't start.
There's no pressure.
I did what I was supposed to do. Yeah,
exactly.
Chase Daniels made like $60 million or something. So
I'm telling you,
good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah,
He's balling in practice, and I mean, he shows up whenever he's supposed to. He manages the game. He makes the throws, and he collects the check.
He's getting big checks. I do think they need a signature win, or let me say Pink or not Pinkle. I do think Drink needs a signature win.
Yep.
South Carolina on the road and ranked in the top 25, just inside, but in the top 25. SEC team, tough place to play. I say this every week. They are going to win this football game. I feel good about it. Don't ask me why. I think the pressure is minimal, very minimal. And this might sound crazy. They might score the most points they've scored. South Carolina's defense is soft in some spots, where Mizzou performs well in. They're not a bad team. They're a much better team than Mizzou on paper. But I am convinced that Mizzou has minimal pressure. I know people are not excited about the way they won this most recent football game, but they won. And at the end of the day, if they get a W, it's a W. Everyone's healthy. Brady Cook probably knows that this is getting close to time they're going to swap this thing out and get someone else in there. So he wants to perform. I feel very, very good about this football game. You have a prediction on it?
I think that I know we're going to win. Like I'm trying to think of the score that I want. Let's think. I think that we win 33-27.
Okay. This might sound crazy. I think they're going to score 42 points. I don't know what they're going to give up. I want to go 42-24.
Okay.
That's my pick. I don't know why I feel that confident. I just feel like we're going to watch them move the football. They're going to do it with ease. And then this is what is necessary to get everybody off their back. That'll take them to 2 and 3 in the conference, wave a momentum behind them. And so I'm excited. Make sure y'all tune in. They're obviously going to be underdogs. I do think they're going to perform well, and I do think they're going to win this football game. You got anything else you want to add, Marcus?
I do too, man. Shoot, I'm down here by myself in Charlotte. I'm in North Carolina, but there's a lot of South Carolina fans. We're only about an hour and a half away from Columbia, South Carolina. So y'all pray for me this weekend.
Yeah, we got you.
Because I'm definitely going to be rocking my black and gold. And I expect us to get this, go take care of business.
Yes, sir.
Bring the cup back. I forgot what they fight for these days. They made a game, the Battle of the Columbias. I forgot. Maybe it's the Governor's Cup or something like that, or Governor's Hat. I forgot exactly what it is, but
Sure.
let's go win that. Let's go bring it back to Mizzou.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I'm
sir.
cool with that. And
Yes, sir.
I'm just excited for these guys. I want them to come out, rally behind each other. I mean, off the ups and downs that they've had of this season, I see them still fighting for each other, playing with their brother, relying on each other, still having fun out there together. No, I didn't, from what I saw, didn't see any arguments on the sideline, blaming or anything like that. So that's important to have within the team. So I give them kudos to that because it hasn't been easy, but I'm excited that they're staying together, sticking together, and they need to go get this win.
Absolutely. Well, we will hope to bring home a W on Saturday. Marcus, as always, I appreciate you being here, man. Any last minute words that you want to throw in there?
No, man. MIZ.
Yes, sir. ZOU. Appreciate everybody being here, and we'll see y'all again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.